Hello there, welcome to Across the Balkans. I'm Nafisa Latic. Great to have your company. As Israeli airstrikes and fierce gun battles continue on the streets of Gaza, thousands of people gathered in cities across the Balkans to call for a ceasefire and condemn the killing of civilians, especially children. Anger is growing online, where the horrors of war that eventually led to genocide in Srebrenica are still fresh in many people's minds. The main message from the Bosnian capital was yesterday Srebrenica, today Gaza, as those who survived it say what they see in Gaza resembles their own suffering almost 3 decades ago. But it isn't just through rallies that Western Balkan countries are showing support for Gaza. Many groups have also been sending humanitarian aid, hoping that it will reach those who need it the most. We start with Veljko Skenderija's story from Zagreb.
It's rare that the Balkans is ever united on any issue, but Israel's attack on Gaza seems to have done just that. Rallies are being held from Belgrade and Sarajevo to Zagreb against the horrors taking place. And in Podgorica, protesters have called for sanctions against Tel Aviv and a boycott of Israeli products.
Pozivam na bojkot iz prostog razloga zato što je to najmanje što možemo da uradimo. Ako ne možemo baš ubijeti državu u Crnu Goru da uvede sankcije Izraelu kao što su mogli da uvedu sankcije Rusiji, zašto ne mogli Izraelu? Kada već ne možemo da to dostignemo, a voljeli bismo, nadam se da hoćemo, onda možemo mi sami uvesti sankcije. Narod može uvesti sankcije Izraelu tako što neće da kupuje proizvode, jer te kompanije direktno finansiraju genocid.
Mandić says the pressure they've put on the government has at least partly worked, as Montenegro recently voted in favor of UN resolution calling for a ceasefire in Gaza. That's in contrast to Croatia, which joined only 14 countries in the world to cast a no vote. Meanwhile, in Sarajevo, people are marching for the thousands killed in Gaza, which has cast their minds back to Srebrenica.
Mi, Bošnjaci, još veći imamo možda senzibilitet, jer nešto slično se dogodilo i nama u Bosni i Hercegovini. Znate da je Srebrenica bila zaštićena zona UN-a i praktički izručena u ruke četničkih krvoloka i nakon čega je počinjen genocid.
The call for a free Palestine also echoes in Belgrade. And back in Zagreb, another major protest is being prepared weeks after the first, which seems to once again show how official state policy is in contradiction with public opinion.
I ja mislim da bilo koje ljudsko biće kada vidi ovako teške slike stradanja djece, civila, preko 75% je takvih ljudi, da mislim nitko ne može ostati nijem na takvu jednu tešku patnju.
Memories of the Balkan wars from the 90s are still very vivid, but so is the international aid the region received. And therefore, in the Balkans, it's not just a matter of expressing solidarity with Palestinians, it's more a case of empathy.
Humanitarian aid for Gaza is being collected throughout the region, and Bosnia and Herzegovina is leading the charge. Although 3 decades have passed since war devastated the Western Balkans, the memories are still fresh, fueling their solidarity with Palestinians who are suffering a similar fate. People here are also echoing growing calls for a ceasefire and for humanitarian aid to be allowed into Gaza, where food, water and medical supplies are dwindling each day.
Elvir Karolic is the president of the Pomozi.ba association, which launched an online campaign to collect aid for Gaza. He says that the clear media blockade, specifically on social networks such as Facebook, has awakened Bosnian spite.
Probudio se inat u Bosanaca. Ja sam bio na jednom mediju i dao izjavu po tom pitanju, onda nekako je sve buknulo. Ljudi su krenuli sa svih strana da šeruju, da objavljuju sve te informacije i mi smo vrlo brzo prikupili tih nekih već sada €1.000.000 za pomoć palestinskom narodu i akcija i dalje traje i konstantno dolaze donacije do nas.
And over in Croatia, it's Caritas that is leading the donation drive, with a similar outpouring of support. But that organization says it faces another type of blockade, much worse than that on social media.
Ova nesreća koja se događa onemogućavanjem puštanja humanitarnih konvoja prema Gazi je neviđena, tako da to svakako zabrinjava, ali kad govorimo o potrebama, mislim da su one enormne. U ovom trenutku je to teško procijeniti.
And while Gaza needed help even before the Israeli attack, the humanitarian catastrophe has now reached a level that no one dares to even attempt to estimate. At least 11,100 Palestinians, including around 8,000 women and children, have so far been killed since the conflict began on October 7th. And Hodžić lays some of the blame on the conflicting attitudes of global powers and international institutions.
Suludo je podržavati agresiju, a onda slati humanitarnu pomoć žrtvama. Dakle, bilo bi puno bolje spriječiti agresiju, pa onda ne bi bilo ni potrebe za humanitarnom pomoći. Dakle, jer je suludo da, recimo, Sjedinjene Američke Države daju $1,5 milijardu vojne pomoći Izraelu, a onda daju $300 miliona humanitarne pomoći Palestini.
No one quite knows when the suffering will end, nor is anyone willing to specify how Israel could have responded proportionately to the Hamas attack in which 1,400 Israelis were killed. But they all seem to agree that its current response is certainly excessive. And perhaps the worst thing is that rather than offering a solution, it may sow the seeds of future conflicts in the Middle East. Veljko Skenderija, TRT World, Zagreb, Croatia.
Tensions over the conflict in Gaza recently spilled onto the pitch in a Euro qualifying match in Pristina between Kosovo and Israel. UEFA, the governing body of European football, says it will launch proceedings against Kosovo after fans booed the national anthem of Israel. Before the match, a pro-Palestinian rally had been planned on Sunday but was later banned. Police cited security reasons and growing anti-Israeli messages flooding social media under the hashtag #BabyKillers are not welcomed here. In the past month, several marches have been organized in Pristina in support of Palestinians, while Israeli victims were also honored. Following the ban, people took to social media to call for a complete boycott of the match's ticket sales. This was the first appearance of the Israeli national team abroad since the start of the conflict in Gaza. Kosovo's national coach Primož Gliha said the turmoil over the war in Gaza should not affect the match, and for him, it is not something extraordinary to play football in times of war. And a few hours before the game, the Palestinian flag was unveiled at the Grand Hotel in Pristina. The human rights group which raised the flag wrote on the social network X that it was done as an act of solidarity with the struggle of the Palestinian people. However, the flag did not stay up for long and it was removed. And while Kosovo fans whistled at Israeli players when they had possession of the ball, the match in Pristina ended peacefully, with Kosovo defeating Israel 1-0.